我过去来柏林抗这是第2次的事，去年来过一次，然后今年来了1次。我感觉去年的经验能帮助队伍一些，就是不要那么紧张吧。
因为我觉得就是他就是每个职业都玩的属于就是在我们就国服算顶尖的了，而且就我们互相搭配也比较好搭配。
Those first 2 series are just about the best way to start a day and also a BlizzCon. And now joining me on the desk to find out if we're going to see another upset, we got Healing Stat. We're also going to have Joe Fernandez and Vihel. Vihel, we haven't gotten to cast together since we were on this stage last year on the BlizzCon stage. What was it like to see these 2 upsets?
Hey, I am a sucker for a great story, and this is an awesome way to open up BlizzCon. 2 of the teams that we didn't exactly predict to win those matchups, and it came down to a Game 5. Love it already.
Yeah, it's just about the best way to really start things off. Joe, we got to cast, I guess it was back together in Poland, and we definitely saw EU and NA put up quite impressive results. Now the thing is here is we're starting to see it from the other regions. As somebody who's competed, what's it like to see these regions do so well?
I mean, it's fantastic, and it's good to see the Chinese team, you know, adjusting to the meta, because that was their only weakness. We felt they've always been very strong, and now that they've adjusted to the meta, playing very powerful compositions, we can see it shows, and they're able to stay the competition.
Yeah, and I feel like when we look at this next matchup too, this is one that maybe you would have predicted a little bit more that there was the potential for an upset. Did it look like a guarantee at all? No, it was still a pretty upsetty upset if it does happen. But I think that match number 3 for us, Making a Movie versus Cohesion Dream, was maybe the one that we predicted closer to being a matchup.
I mean, Joe and I were discussing this a lot backstage, and like the cool thing is China is always scary. Every single year you dread them as a competitor, but they struggle to bring it to the main stage. Joe was actually saying that he thought Making a Movie would lose this one. I think they'll win, but I think it's going to be close either way. And the fact that all the analysts like really can't call this one shows how close it'll be.
All right, well, it looks like we need to maybe break the tie here. And Vihel, it's going to be on to you. Predicting this series right now, would you take Making a Movie or Cohesion Dream?
So I think it is going to be a Game 5 again, but I am going to give it to Making a Movie. I do think that they are the stronger team in this matchup. From talking to all the other teams, it seems like they might have more confidence in this match. So I gotta go with them.
Well, there's a lot to nibble on with this one. Let's take a little bit of a deeper dive. It's time to take a look at these 2 teams and what we can expect in today's Food for Thought presented by Grubhub. And Vihel, we can see some of the results, some of the composition that these guys have already used. Let's get a little bit more information as to why you think Making a Movie can take this series potentially in the 5th game.
Well, I think the big highlight of this series is going to be the Rogue Mage Priest versus the Rogue Mage Paladin. And depending on the players that you talk to, it was incredible to be able to talk to all these teams over the past few days to get their insights, especially when, you know, the first couple teams show up and they're like, oh yeah, Rogue Mage Paladin's going to stomp everything. And then everyone else is like, no, Rogue Mage Priest is going to do it. So we did see a meta shift recently on the live ladders. We saw the Fire Mage really come out strong. And it's a different play style of that Rogue Mage Priest. But I do think that Making a Movie, because they are so confident in their Rogue Mage Priest gameplay over the years, that they are going to take it.
I think that that's such an important thing to throw back to, though, to actually talk about what we did here in those player interviews, because there were 2 main things. We heard everybody talk about comps. They didn't really agree. You hear one team say that one comp's the best thing. The other team's going to say that it's not. Then the other thing is a lot of these Chinese teams, with their unknown, players are starting to say, hey, look, these really are going to be some scary teams, potentially even the best. We saw that with Saji. We've heard it about this mage as well. But Food for Thought is presented by Grubhub. Grubhub is offering new users $9 off their first order of $15 or more with the Grubhub app using promo code MageTable. And now let's keep it rocking here. Let's start to actually look at what we think is going to happen when we get into the blind pick. What compositions do you actually expect to see, Adrian?
So this blind pick is probably going to be the most interesting one we've seen throughout, you know, the first 3 series. And the reason for that is, like you were saying, Rich, both of these teams have completely differing opinions on who wins this Rogue Mage matchup. Making a Movie, of course, they have the Rogue Mage Priest, whereas Cohesion Dream, they have the Rogue Mage Paladin. Neither of them, when we talked about it, seem confident against each other. So it's going to be interesting to see who deviates, if both of them deviate, we could see some really old compositions coming out here.
I probably sounded like somebody wearing a tinfoil hat when I said it initially, but I feel like, let's say, even if Making a Movie is able to win this one, Joe, I feel like they're probably a little bit more nervous about this matchup than even playing against Method Orange.
Yeah, I think so, and that's what they said, because they know that they think the Rogue Mage Paladin specifically is a hard counter to their comp, and we know Making a Movie, they've not really been good at ulting compositions right now, so that might come to hurt them if Cohesion Dream can play that Rogue Mage Paladin really well.
I think that there's a clear parallel in the EU between Making a Movie and Reformed, and we saw what just happened to Reformed.
I know, and if it happens again, you know, predicting the future a little bit. But I do think that Making a Movie, I think even though this is going to be a very important blind pick, like we said, but just the fact that Making a Movie has consistently been playing. I mean, look at the members of this team. They've played more Rogue Mage Priest games than just about anyone in the world.
Yeah, and I think the big thing here, like you can see, when we talk about that Rogue Mage, who is the playmaker on Making a Movie? It's Maro every time. There's this constant back and forth between players like him and Raikou. Who's the best mage? Well, hey, we've got another person to throw into the mix now. China has brought one of the best mage players that I've seen in practice for many years, Yi Yang on their mage. And if we do see those mages going up against it, I really think that's going to be the matchup to watch to determine who wins this.
We said that this is a trend that happens quite a bit, that players get singled out from the teams that players might not be as familiar playing against, and does it ever come to fruition? We just saw that in Saji. Saji lived up to it. Now the blind pick going to be locked in, and think about just how nutty it could really be if we see not one team break the curse of the China region and being able to actually grab the first win in 5 years, but what if we see back-to-back, two teams from China able to do it? There's just so much on the line here. And what did you actually see? Because we do have a second here before we're actually going to touch down to Negrand. Your eyes instantly lit up when you saw those comps. What did you see in the blind?
I saw my former partner Vilai on the map. Firstly, fantastic to see him coming out here because, like we said, they've been running that Rogue Mage Priest and they found they found a lot of difficult times when it comes to utilizing him, but now he's coming out on the Demon Hunter. The Demon Hunter Moonkin is another one of those matchups where we see differing opinions. Should it be the Rogue Mage? We already saw Rogue Mage from LATAM looking fantastic against this sort of composition, so a lot of it's going to come down to Radapai on that Shaman.
Not to put you on the spot here and ask you for a stat on the fly, but Vilai has a pretty impressive BlizzCon stage win rate.
Yes. I mean, he's played 3 games, he's won 3 games, and all of them were against that man there, so... Actually, no, that's not true, they were against Tempest. I lied. We lost to that man there straight after, but every game that Vilai played, he won.
He currently has,
he has to not ruin that record.
He has a 100% win rate right now on the BlizzCon stage, and the question is, do you think that this is a composition, Vihel, that will potentially allow him to keep such a high win rate?
I hope so. I mean, that's a great stat to have. You know, the only player who has it in this tournament, I do believe.
I think the only player ever that's won every single game they played at BlizzCon. Even the champions don't normally do that.
No, this is a very, very strong comp right now. You have, and I think the strongest part of having a Demon Hunter on your team is the versatility of it. There's so many offensive plays you can make. You know, they have a really strong offensive cooldown through Metamorphosis. They've got 2 stuns that they can bring to the table. They've got the new Mana Rift, Mana Burn that players are suddenly playing a ton in Battle for Azeroth, and then Reverse Magic to just solidify the anti-CC on the team. They've got everything, man.
You talk about that toolkit, and it's all well and dandy. They have one of the biggest toolkits, but they can also fly. Demon Hunters have absolutely everything. Is it going to be enough for Making a Movie, or will Cohesion Dream do it again for China?
Last time Joe and I entered a game at BlizzCon, he won $120,000. Now both of these teams are looking to start their BlizzCon roads, Making a Movie versus Cohesion Dream. China already won once against Europe. Can they do it again?
Yeah, we're going to see the old compositions coming out from Making a Movie. Mara on that Balance Druid, Radapai on that Restoration Shaman, and Vilai on that Demon Hunter. Will they be able to pull it off in what they presume is going to be a counterpick to that Rogue Mage Pally? We already see the Earthen Wall Tome from Radapai, and Radapai on that Shaman is going to be a big talking point, Adrian.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, obviously Maro, we talked about him on the Mage. Why is he playing the Moonkin in this matchup?
Yeah, I believe he's just doing that to just tank out the Rogue Mage damage and be able to get a lot of burst with that Incarnation, which he pops there, but they're just line of sight. He's not able to get too much pressure right now, so that's a bit of a blunder with that Incarnation. Not getting too much pressure, but now they get onto Stray Blue as he pops his Divine Shield. Full blind onto Radapai right now, as well as that Kidney Shot onto Maro. They force out the Bark Skin. This is the Vendetta. They might be able to get more. Radapai sitting that CC, might just be able to greet it, but Maro's sitting in that bear form, trying to survive with just the Bark Skin. Uses that Renewal as well. and that allows Rapai to hold on to his trinket.
This was the first real test coming out of Cohesion Dream, testing the synergy of Radapai and Maro, but they do not blink, they do not trade overly their cooldowns, and now they have double trinket available without any real offensive cooldowns left for Cohesion Dream. A fantastic opener for making a movie. Now they need to find ways of getting aggressive, getting that counter pressure over onto Yi Yang.
I mean, making a movie, they just need to win on mana pretty much and out-survive the cooldowns of Cohesion Dream. They've already lived the Combustion and the Vendetta, so it's looking very good for them. Half man on Stray Bloopers as well. Vile trying to get aggressive right now, but Yi Yang once again being a king on that mage defensively. The Urban Wall Tome comes out now onto Maro to mitigate some of that damage when Maro got kidneyed out of Bear form, but at the same time Yi Yang dropping very low. The full Solar Beam on the Stray Bloopers, it was just on a lockout, so he should be able to come out and heal just in time.
This is the first time we've ever seen Vile run the Demon Hunter, and you can see the utility it brings. Stray Bloopers mana already burned down to 50%, and Yi Yang's health is following suit. He's dangerously trying to get some offense here over onto Maro. They need to be a little bit careful. Radapai healing surging in the backline, healing tide available also. Still, Trinket's not forced out on making a movie. This is looking so solid from the European squad.
Yeah, and there was a bit of an overlap there from Stray Bloopers using his Trinket and then immediately followed by the Divine Shield, so he's not going to have those defensives for quite some time. He could be in trouble in the short future. Meanwhile, though, they forced the basket on the Maro, full blinding on the Radapai. He's trying to tank that out in bear form right now. Full kidney shot as well, but no real major offensive cooldowns, but it could just go down. The renewal gets used as well, so now Maro doesn't have any of his own defensive.
Yep, Moonkins are very tanky in that bear form, but they need constant babysitting. Now a step kick coming over onto Radapai. He needs to be a little bit careful here. If they can set up another crowd control chain, could be dangerous for Maro. Does not have that bark skin, does not have the renewal, but meanwhile, Vilay's been doing work. He's been burning down at the mana on that Paladin, but here comes the full blind. Trinkets overlapped, making a movie, make a first blunder.
That is a blunder indeed. Maro does not have the Trinket as well as Radapai, and he also used the Urban Wall Tome just now, and Alistair has the Vendetta, so this could be a very scary moment if they get that crowd control. Vilay's going to have their reverse magic very soon though, but it could be very difficult for them to get it off if Cohesion Dream pulls this off well. They could be looking for a kill, but they're running out of time.
Yeah, but Vendetta is available for Alistair Law. If they can land this polymorph, he's looking for it, but good in cap coming out from Vilay. Defends it. The commitment of the Vendetta has still come forward here. They're looking for the Ring of Frost. Can they land it? They do. Maro could be in trouble. Reverse magic available, but Vilay caught up in the polymorph. Good crowd control from Cohesion Dream, but the damage just doesn't seem to be there. Barkskin comes out. Solar Beam to deny the re-polymorph, and once again making a movie survive.
That was great CC from Yi Yang there, setting up that Ring of Peace and the Sheep onto Vilay to deny the reverse magic was so good, but Stray Bloopers getting super low now. Vilay getting a lot of bursts. He just about sneaks in the Holy Light with that Sheep, but I think he's just going to go down to Vilay here. He's completely out of mana, completely out of cooldowns. He just uses his Trinket there as his last defense. The Cohesion Dream are in a dire situation.
It's really dangerous for them now. Combustion is available for Yi Yang. That's the last offensive, but there's so much utility left on making a movie. Incarnation from Maro, forcing the team back. Now over though, as Stray Bloopers, he is doing a great job actually of keeping his team alive. He doesn't really have any defensives. Yi Yang, of course, holding onto that ice block, but the problem is once you're forced behind a pillar like this, it's just so difficult to get anything going, Joe.
I think that's the closest ice block before proccing that cauterization I have ever seen in my life. Yi Yang just about ice blocking in time, but Stray Blues just completely out of mana. Cohesion Dream have only one more go of the combustion, but I'm not sure if they're going to get it. They're even trying to use the mana burn on the Yi Yang, trying to get some pressure, but nice sack coming in on Stray Bloopers there. They're going to survive for now, but can they get some pressure on a Maro? It doesn't look like here Rapai is going to pop that asset as he has the Trinket soon as well. So it looks like making a movie is looking very strong.
I think making a movie might need some executes, Joe. Maybe you know someone who could find some of those for them. But Maro, he's looking to do the work. Meanwhile, once again, Mana Rift connecting. Yi Yang in trouble. Temporal Shield late. It will be enough to proc. Is it going to be enough to land the kill though? That Temporal Shield actually with a lot of value should be able to keep him alive. He's doing a great job of kiting away, but like you say, Stray Bloopers completely out of mana. Doesn't have anything left in the tank to keep his team alive. The reflected polymorph now onto Vilay. They're making a swap over onto Radapai, but a beautiful preemptive Astral Shift. Radapai showing these put the hours into that Shaman, and it's paying dividends here on the BlizzCon stage.
That was very good, although he did use the Urban Wall Tome as well, so I'm not sure about that. There is the Vendetta and the Avenging Crusader of Stray Bloopers that could get them a kill, but they're running out of time completely. A full Cyclone. I think Yi Yang could just go down here if they connect any sort of damage. Vilay in that Metamorphosis, he gets solo, but nice Blessing of Sacrifice. That actually got out just before the Fell Eruption, and a beautiful Cyclone from Maro.
It's dangerous times. The smoke bomb comes in. They're going for this kill on Rattapie, but Spirit Link's still available. Trinket's still available. Making a movie have won this one unless they make a colossal mistake in this situation. Yi Yang, though, doing a good job kiting away, utilizing the big map of Nagrand Arena. Kiting Rattapie needs to be careful he doesn't choke. Trinket's out, gets caught up into another stun. Spirit Link is available for him. So that's the last line of defense. But honestly, Cohesion Dream, since they started attacking this old Shaman on Rattapie, they're starting to find life in this game.
They are indeed, although there's no Avenger Crusader. I'm not sure how Cohesion Dream is staying alive, but they're finding a way. And it's got to be Yin Yang just peeling those DPS. Nice counterspell onto Mara as well. Rattapie all of a sudden has no Trinket for quite some time, no Earthen Wall Tome. He gets put into a full blind. They could open up onto Mara here, but he has the Bark Skin and the Renewal, so he should be able to survive. Meanwhile, Yi Yang is getting very close to dying here. Nice bop coming out from Stray Bloopers to keep him alive, but once again, he's nearly out of cooldowns.
Rattapie's only won 27% of his games on non-disciplined priests in Battle for Azeroth competitive play. That's not a good statistic. He told us he'd been putting in a lot of time, and it is enough for them to pull out game one. Yi Yang does end up falling. It was getting a little bit scary towards the end there, Rich.
And then Rattapie is going to be able to ultimately, you know, kind of tip that stat in his favor just a little bit more here. But it's important to note, yes, making a movie is able to take it, VHel, but we look at Cohesion Dream, and it looked like they should have been out quite a few times. They were still making opportunities for themselves until the bitter end.
Yeah, I was really afraid for Yi Yang for so many times. Like you guys called out that one hit point ice block before Cauterize proc. You know, I was really scared that they both were going to proc at the same time. You know, good for him for waiting as long as he could, you know, for that to go off. But really impressive play by both teams. There's a couple gearing decisions that I was really interested in. One of the things we see a lot right now is Moonkins will be running the Lively Spirit. It's actually a Restoration Druid trait, which stacks up in depending on how many spells were cast free during the Innervate on your healer. And then at the end, you just have this massive intellect buff that you can combine with Incarnation, but Mario wasn't running it. He was actually running 3 different traits, just very steady damage, Laser Matrix, you know, Filthy Transfusion. So it wasn't the all-in build, which we were expecting. Like, that's why you saw so many huge spikes of damage in the first series of the day.
Yeah, there are definitely so many different builds that can come out right now. That's one of the things that's so interesting in this tournament, why we kind of almost expect that some people are probably hiding traits that they do like to play with, because that Moonkin build too, actually running a trait that interacts with Innervate, allows for these massive spikes of damage. It is still relatively newer into the meta. We saw Moonkins going for that more sustained damage, whether it is Filthy Transfusion, whether it is Laser Matrix. We saw those more steady builds, and what is the advantage of playing a build like that on the Moonkin here?
I think it's 2 things. Like, obviously the steady damage, they're going for that attrition war, right? Like, they're trying to the healer, so consistent damage will help with that throughout the game. But the other reason that Laser Matrix in particular is a popular pick for these slightly slower comps is it also provides off healing for your team. Vilay isn't running the Neverwalk, he's running this kind of leech build, so he has consistent healing for himself, self-sustained throughout the game, and those Laser Matrixes also help with that for the Moonkin, and potentially even for Rattapie when he gets swapped to.
Yeah, it's a huge thing, especially when you are running builds like that Soul Rend build to get that additional healing. But let's take a deeper look at some of these moments here, and we keep talking about it being that war of attrition. I think it's important to actually pay attention to how some of these trades went down.
Yeah, of course, right out of the gate, you know, that exciting moment that we saw before. Of course, this is how the ice block is going to be lined up. During this game, the one thing actually to note outside of this amazing ice block play that's coming up is going to be the team of Making a Movie did a fantastic job with collapsing on every meteor that was coming in, you know, because that splits damage. But right here is when the ice block came in. I thought he was dead, and as you can see, you know, a little scared for a minute, then remembered he was a fire mage, so he could have fallen back on it. Yeah. But this was another great play with the temporal shield coming up. You know he's in trouble right now. Of course, you see the stun onto Stray Bloopers, who's in the center of the map, was really trying to cross and get onto Yi Yang. Able to use a bop on him, but a good part of the temporal shield is that even, you know, you can see right here with oh, that was the kill. I thought this was a previous temporal shield. So in the previous temporal shield, you know, because he's a fire mage, he does have that cheat death through the Cauterize. So temporal shield keeps on ticking through, and then eventually it did heal him up, and he was able to live up until that point in the game.
Yeah, and building on that, I just want to give credit to Yi Yang because there were so many good offensive and defensive plays he made. Talking about the temporal shield, just talking about the raw kiting, saved his healer multiple times, and also landed the cross crowd control when it was needed. Reverse magic from the Demon Hunter is a very powerful defensive that dispels Ring of Frost or Polymorphs. He always cross crowd controlled Villi, and that's not easy to do against such a disruptive team.
Man, there's that moment as a caster though where you always forget that it's a fire mage. You see the ice block there, you see it, and you're like, down goes. All right.
It's also bubble from last expansion.
Yeah, right. You know, I'm just waiting for it to happen, though, waiting for the call. But the other thing, you know, when we think about old moments in the game, old history in the game, has to be the fact that traditionally, anytime a team that plays Rogue Mage can go for a mirror, they used to go for the mirror. So it's really interesting here too, Joe, to see a squad that identifies as a Rogue Mage team not taking the mirror.
Yeah, I think that just shows that they're able to diversify a bit, and also if you have that option to counter comp even more so, then you're going to do that. And obviously they were very confident that Cohesion Dream runs that Rogue Mage Paladin, and they're playing what believe is their counter to it. And, you know, knowing how to play Rogue Mage is a good advantage to make a movie because they know exactly how to counter it. Like Jared was saying with the Laser Matrix, Maro just knows he needs to just live on that Boomkin, and having that Laser Matrix is just going to be a nice win condition for them just to be more defensive.
Yeah, especially with how, as you already noted, V, how we see them gearing. That seems to be making a movie's strategy, their path to actually getting victory. It's just surviving and putting out the consistent damage.
Yeah, it's true. One of the things I was actually curious about was Yi Yang's Azerite trait builds. He's running the very all-in Blaster Master spec with the combustion. So basically, every time you fire blast, you gain mastery, and that actually stacks. So during your combustion, when you normally will use those fire blasts to keep your pyros going, each one is going to provide more and more and more ignite damage, and it's this scary fire mage just chasing you down, throwing pyros at you constantly. But with the matchup, Yi Yang was able to cast fireballs more consistently than any fire mage I've seen in a lot of the matches recently. So I wonder if maybe like a hybrid build might be a little bit better than just the all-in combustion strat from Yi Yang. We'll have to see if he makes any gearing changes.
Yeah, I think it's like, you know, walking around. When we're actually casting, like, we spend a lot of time with each other, and we'd be sitting at a meal, and it would just be Venruki and Zico just sitting there, and they wouldn't say anything to each other. They'd be like, Master Blaster, Master Blaster, Master Blaster, Master Blaster. I've heard so much about this build. What is it about this build that has made it come into favor?
I mean, the whole Fire Mage, right? Like, we didn't see it at all really during the Cups. Suddenly you see Rosita Jones coming out, slaying everyone. It's because of this burst. It's because they're going for those kind of like one-shot kills. We saw it already coming out of Unitas as well. And I mean, a big portion of that damage comes down from the Meteor. Obviously, the Combustion's a big thing to watch out for as well. And I don't mind the build coming in because I think against such a kind of like attrition drafted comp, like you got the mana rift on making a movie, which is such an easy win condition, just constantly burning that healer's mana. I don't think you win that attrition war. I want to see Cohesion Dream going for that full burst. And by the way, Blaster Master was definitely named by Zika.
I think that it could have been. Now, one of the other things, Yi Yang, where we keep hearing it, that this guy is potentially the best mage here. He is one of the other players under the microscope right now by every single player in the world, and another guy vying for it is going to be his opponent in Morrow. With what we saw out of Yi Yang, what is it that puts him in this conversation?
I think it's just the fact that he can play it so well, peeling for his team and the aggression as well. Like we said with Adrian earlier, he denies them that reverse magic, which makes it very scary for making a movie, as well as having that key defensive play. I mean, Stray Bloopers was just completely out of mana for such a long time, and the only reason they were able to survive for so long is due to Yin Yang's peels.
And till that bitter end, Cohesion Dream was creating scenarios, potential wins, all the way throughout that matchup, but making a movie seemed to have it by the reins. They were able to protect defensive cooldowns for such a long time, and as we enter map number 2, we got to be asking ourselves the question, will making a movie be able to get themselves just one game away from moving to the upper portion of the bracket?
Yep, the biggest map in the pool has been chosen by Cohesion Dream, hoping to make it a little bit harder for Villi to go connect over onto Stray Bloopers and get those mana rifts, which we saw being so devastating in Game 1. But I mean, aside from that, the big map is also very good for the Fire Mage. It's very good because obviously as a mage you have multiple blinks, which are mobility cooldowns that are on a very short cooldown. It makes it very hard for people to kind of chase after you, get damage out, and he's hoping to use that big map to get constant resets, maybe help his healer get a drink, and more chances at that kill.
Yeah, exactly, and I think it's a very smart map composition coming out from Cohesion Dream, because not only would it allow Maro to play more aggressive, but they know he can't, so I think it's a very smart choice by them. We see a full blind already onto Radapie with that kidney shot on the Maro. He's going to trade out the Bark Skin. This is the Meteor coming out. No major offensive cooldowns coming in just yet, but Stray Bloop is using one of his bops offensively, so they can try and get more defensive cooldowns coming out, making a movie. It looks like they're trying to greed onto it. A DR Dragon's Breath going to happen, and that's going to cause the renewal from Maro.
I have a huge amount of respect for Radapie on this Shaman so far this tournament. He doesn't trade out his trinket because he notices that Combustion wasn't immediately committed. Now it is though, but the Earthen Shield Totem's able to come out because there wasn't any follow-up crowd control, so perhaps even a mispress from Cohesion Dream there. I don't like that Combustion at all. They still have that offensive Vendetta though. That's going to be a big damage cooldown for the Assassination Rogue. They're looking to make some plays with that, but once again, making a movie have looked solid. They've held on to all three of their trinkets, which will enable them to break out of crowd control and survive any offensive pushes.
They will, although Radapie doesn't have that Earthen Wall Tome, but Maro has that Bark Skin coming out soon, and they're just crowd controlling Alistar right now, making sure he can't use that Vendetta for as long as possible until Maro gets that Bark Skin. But maybe they'll just ride Radapie. I mean, it was working out later in Nagrand, so they could do it right now. A full Kidney Shot Meteor being used, but a nice Cyclone onto Yi Yang. Maro playing excellently well defensively, and that's going to just help Radapie survive without needing to use anything.
Yeah, fantastic plays coming in from the Making a Movie MVP Maro on that Moonkin. He's looked fantastic all season on Mage, now showing he can do the same on the Chicken. Yi Yang taking a lot of damage at this point, but no crowd control on Stray Bloopers. Should be able to top off his Mage in this situation. Earthen Shield Totem, though, has been baited out. That huge defensive for Radapie. They might look to make something happen here. Of course, the Earthen Shield Totem is a great counter for Vendetta, and Alistar Law has not used that offensive all game. He's looking to set up an opportunity.
Yeah, he is, although maybe holding on it for too long might be the wrong move, but he uses it now onto Radapie with a DR Hodge as well. No defensive cooldowns until now. The Astral Shift comes out from Radapie. That's going to be an easy trade, but he needs to keep himself top, uses the Ascendance as well, spamming out those Riptides to survive, and he should be able to stabilize, but soon Yi Yang will have that Combustion.
Yeah, Combustion's going to be scary. Radapie doesn't have too many cooldowns left. He used his Astral Shift there. Does have the Trinket though, of course, the Trinket Spirit Link being kind of that ultimate line of defense for the Shaman, that last cooldown that you'll end up using. Alistar Law getting caught up behind the pillar, has to trade out Cloak of Shadows. Stray Bloopers once again struggling on mana. They're looking for a swap over onto Villi here. Caught up in the Kidney Shot mid-map. I love this play coming out of Cohesion Dream. Villi has to commit so far forward to get the mana rifts on Stray Bloopers. They should look to punish him. He could be the opportunity.
They should, but is it going to be too late? Stray Bloopers on half mana, and you just can't help it. They're on that ticking time bomb, and they're full blind on the Radapie. They're trying to make a move onto Maro once again, but he just has that Bark Skin Bear Form as an answer with that renewal if needed. They land a sap onto Radapie. Maro's getting extremely low, possibly needs to use that renewal. There it comes out, and that means that he should be okay. The Hammer of Justice on the Radapie, but it gets reversed, and that's going to get some counter pressure of making a movie right now. Alistar's low, has no Cloak of Shadows, and Yi Yang having to pop that Temporal Shield.
Okay, Villi used his Trinket to get that reverse. Smoke Bomb is available for Alistar Law. Will they look for a play? It could be something that they need in these dire times. They're Paladin low on mana, Yi Yang low on health, trying to kite away desperately. They sneak the Polymorph. They're looking for something here on Maro. The Earthen Shield Totem, though, from Radapie preemptively. Huge play from Radapie on the Shaman.
That was a great play, and, you know, we kind of doubted Radapie's multiclassing ability, but you can tell that his games played on Shaman has definitely improved. His self-awareness on that class, using that Earthen Wall Tome tremendously well, but now it gets put into the Hammer of Justice. Yi Yang low, though, nice Cyclones once again coming out from Maro onto Alistar, just peeling the DPS, making sure Radapie has enough breathing room to stay alive.
Yeah, he's been doing a fantastic job. Stray Bloopers now with his Avenging Crusader, increasing his healing and damage, but not really to any avail. Once again, Thorns from Maro to counter that, kind of negating some of that incoming healing. And I mean, it just looks so difficult for Cohesion Dream. Trinket's still available on Radapie. Radapie and Mara. I'd love to make them make the swap. Alistar low, dropping low, Hand of Sacrifice, last defensive line. Cohesion Dream are so close to losing this game. That blue bar is low, their cooldowns are low, and they've just got nothing going for them here.
Yeah, it was a slight overlap with Alistar's Trinket Feint and Stray Bloopers, Blessing of Sacrifice. Now, he's not going to have a Blessing of Sacrifice for a while, but we have seen that they're able to survive for quite some time. But whether they can get a kill is just looking dire. Valet has everything, Radapie has everything, but like you said, he just drank to full, and that's going to completely reset the game. Valet should have really been on top of that, but now he's going to get the mana burns coming in once again. Stuns onto Alistar. Alistar's in a lot of trouble. He has to play defensively.
That's the advantage of the map. Stray Bloopers has so much space to kind of run away, look for those resets, get that mana bar up. You can see the blue bar now. He's going to have a ton of fuel in the tank to keep his team offensive here, and maybe they can set up something onto Valet. They're going for it right now onto Mara instead, but no crowd control on Radapie, easily deflected. The Urban War Totem, now Alistar caught up in trouble. Huge damage from Valet. No crowd control from Stray Bloopers. He's desperately trying to keep his rogue alive, dampening at 5% healing reduction. They're trying to get something going over onto Radapie, but it's just to no avail. He's fine sitting through those stuns, and once again making a movie, pushing in, looking for the kill. They force the Divine Shield. There's nothing left for Cohesion Dream.
There is nothing. He only has 2 Blessing Protections and 1 Blessing of Sacrifice.
Okay, there's a few things left
against them, but for himself defensively, he doesn't really have much. Valet's just trying to crush him. Alistar also getting low. He has that evasion if needed, but no Cloak of Shadows for a while. But they have those offensive corners. They really need to make an offensive swap onto making a movie, because time is ticking, although that huge drink from Stray Bloopers may be their key to winning this game.
Essentially, yeah. I mean, it definitely helps them, but they haven't really shown me that they have a way back into this game. They're looking for the blind play now. I love the swap over onto Valet. Immediately, as soon as they hit Valet, they force the Trinket on Radapie. They're looking for more here. They get the Ring of Frost. That might be the reverse magic. Blur instead, reverse as well. So many cooldowns forced from one swap to Valet. Why wouldn't you keep going on Valet? I hope they've learned the lesson here. Combustion's available, Vendetta's available, Radapie no Trinket. Valet could be a huge opening for Cohesion Dream.
There could be a huge opening onto Valet. He has that Netherwolf though as the safety net, but he could just die if he's not able to Trinket out of time. He does have the Trinket though. Kidney shot onto Radapie. It looks like they're going to make a swap onto him, but the darkness gets thrown out from Valet and DR Hodge as well. But with that darkness, he should be able to live quite comfortably. And now the Incarnation as well. That makes Yin Yang have to play really defensively right now. Temporal Shield. They're trying to proc the Cauterize. They're unable to. Stray Bloopers actually trying to go for a grip, drink there. Nice sheep though from Yin Yang onto Valet from across the behind the pillar. But nice look out from Mara as well. It's still looking very devastating for Cohesion Dream.
Yeah, it's dangerous. I mean, they used all their cooldowns on that offensive go on Radapie. They just traded out the darkness, making a movie, and now suddenly they're fine again. I would have loved to have seen them save it for the swap to Valet. It's something like they do it once and it's so successful. Do it again, but they're going after Radapie once again here. Kidney shot, huge damage, needs to be careful. Does have the Urban Shield Totem though, able to get it in between the stuns. Nicely played once again by Radapie. Now it's making a movie, looking to get offensive here. Full Cyclone onto Stray Bloopers. Yi Yang in trouble, does have that Ice Block, but Alistar low, also low, has to trade out Cloak of Shadows. Now making a movie, are wreaking devastation over China's Cohesion Dream. And this game's looking very much like the first one, Joe. They're getting in, just getting so far ahead.
Yeah, they just need to keep up with the defensive play at this point. Make sure Stray Bloopers doesn't drink, and they should be able to take this one. It's 20% dampening, so it's going to be increasingly hard for Stray Bloopers to keep his team alive. Yi Yang having to pop that Temporal Shield. Valet getting really aggressive right now. Full bash onto Alistar, but no connection there from Valet. They're just trying to kill Yi Yang. He does have that Cauterization, but without the Ice Block, he's not going to be able to live. They make a Kidney last attempt onto Radapie right now, but they're not even getting much onto him. He has the Earthen Wall Tome very soon. Nice Dragon's Breath from Yi Yang to stop both the DPS getting pressure, but like we said, I just feel like this is a very dire situation for Cohesion Dream.
Yeah, and making a movie looking so great as they take down Alistar low on this one. Another solid game from the European roster, and that's going to be 2-0 and looking great in the series.
Yeah, and I think though one of the main things that you were saying throughout the cast, Adrian, that is really important is there are still opportunities, and some of them may be onto the Demon Hunter and may be on Valet. I mean, but all in all, it's going to be a little bit of a nightmare start for Cohesion Dream.
Yeah, I will say the one part of this match that is kind of concerning for the future of this tournament for making a movie is there's a lot of little mistakes they're making here and there. But good thing that they are up 2-0 right now because they have the cushion to do so. But if they want to continue to play this Demon Hunter Moonkin comp together, they really need to capitalize on the small mistakes, like letting Stray Blooper drink to almost full. That, you know, that match went to 22% dampening, right? If we would have, if that drink wouldn't have happened, it wouldn't even come close to that. You know, they definitely had had their time. There was a couple just little small things here and there they just need to get better on. A couple missed mana rifts, you know, from just the stun timing, and they allowed Stray Blooper to get out of the crowd control a little bit. I really liked the play by Making a Movie, though. You can tell that their gearing decisions, you know, we touched on it a little bit. They're not going the Lively Spirit. Everything that they're trading for is long game, because they do want to go for that long mana burn. But if that's your strat, you got to stick to it, right? You really got to make sure that at every single moment, you're making sure that the enemy healer isn't drinking.
Yeah, it's important to note, Making a Movie just hasn't played perfect. They've done what they needed to win. Belay has kept his 100% win rate for now. But if they keep playing at this level, it's not inconceivable to think that we could see Cohesion Dream actually get a little bit more cohesive and try to pull down that victory.
But I think it's also important to note that Making a Movie, yes, they are running the Demon Hunter Moonkin, but this is not their main composition. Yeah. They are running this as a complete counter in their eyes to the Fire Mage Assassination. If they met another team, they were saying they have a great bracket. If they meet Method Orange, they are not going to try and mirror them with this Demon Hunter Moonkin. Not even close. They will probably run the Rogue Mage, and then we'll see them excel at that top level of gameplay.
Joe, it's funny, to get to Method Orange, we basically see Making a Movie taking Method Orange's strategy. And this is also, is this a composition, when we look at it, that we expect to see a decent amount throughout this tournament?
I think so. I mean, yeah, both these compositions, the Demon Hunter, Moonkin, Resto Shaman, and Rogue Mage, Paleo Priest, are very strong compositions right now in the meta. And the good thing about Making a Movie is they're able to play both comps, so they know the strengths and weaknesses from both comps. So they'll be able to know how to outplay it. And like you said, they're just triple ults on those compositions, but knowing how to deal with Rogue Mage is going to be one of their major strengths, since they play that composition around the entire year.
Yeah, what is it though about the composition that has become something that is such in favor right now, actually having that Moonkin, having that Demon Hunter VHEL? Why do we see this composition all of a sudden being such a common choice?
It's because it's the long game build, right? And you know, Europeans love playing the long game in a
Oh yeah,
we've
we
seen
do.
it happen every single time. And not only that, you're gonna wear down the enemy team not from just raw damage. You have a lot of different ways of doing it, including the Mana Rift, which we talked about, which does burn 8% of the target's mana if they're standing in the little circle at the end of it. So they were definitely, almost their whole build entirely was around this, right? Was just, okay, let's get through the cooldowns from the Holy Paladin and just keep wearing him down, wear his mana down, and just keep constantly on top of him. Even though I was saying, you know, there was a little sloppy mistakes here and there by Maro and Belay, he did do a great job. Maro's crowd control is on point. Like, we saw a lot of great cyclones on the Avenging Crusaders, stopping a lot of the heals. We saw when we saw the a Vendetta come out, plus the combustion, we saw immediately he was falling back, and instead of trying to counter pressure with damage or, you know, try to throw out some heals, he was cycloning non-stop, really breaking the pressure up.
And folks, now we're in a situation where, yeah, we started off the day with 2 of those upsets. It's going to be Making a Movie trying to switch up that rhythm. When we return, we may see them grab that 3-0.
Playing more comms has helped me and our team a lot in terms of confidence. I think just having like more comms and having like something you can like go back to if your main comp, which is in our case RMP, doesn't work, helps a lot, and you feel way better going into a matchup if you have something else prepared.
All this year motivate me like really hard to just like play better and better and like try to do my best on the BlizzCon, because like I was really sad when I did not make it to the spring.
I think we've been doing good over the year. I think we kind of struggled in the 3rd season now, but I'm kind of happy with the result we had over the year.
I believe our team is definitely in the top tier of EU, and I think a lot of people underestimate us because we've been like a RMP one trick, but we've got something up our sleeves for BlizzCon.
Feeling really, really good. It was like my dream to be here, so I'm like really, really proud of my team and generally overall.
Being an underdog is mostly good. It's always the underdog story that is like the big story. Everyone wants the underdog to win, and I think it's a good time to be the underdog at BlizzCon.
It's cool to be at the BlizzCon, but I think we should not like stop only on that and try to like do the best what we can in the games.
We're here to win. We're not here to just play and do well. We want to win, so I expect us to win.
2018 World of Warcraft Arena World Championship is brought to you in part by Republic of Gamers, Corsair, T-Mobile, Samsung SSD, and NVIDIA.
In the Overwatch League, you're hyping up the chat, taking your team to hashtag trending, and spreading memes at tracer level speed.
All while watching us cap the point.
Speed like that deserves a network that can keep up. With T-Mobile, get all the Overwatch League you can handle with coast-to-coast coverage. Now your arena is where you make it.
Making a movie versus Cohesion Dream. We already saw China break the curse. They were able to grab their first win after about 5 years. Is it too much to ask for 2 though? Cohesion Dream trying to get that second upset, but we're seeing Making a Movie right now coming out definitely looking pretty impressive. This is going to be one of the most dominant wins that we have seen so far in the tournament if they're able to get this 3-0.
Oh, definitely. I think the comp swap was a great idea. Not only that, if they were confident going into this match, because we know that, like you said, if they have to do face off against, you know, one of the methods further on, yeah, they'll feel confident to run their, you know, normal Rogue Mage Priest setup, and they do great with it. But this is great that they have the time to practice on stage this Demon Hunter Moonkin if they do end up taking this series.
And also, this is Rattapie on a different healer as well. I mean, we talked about the fact that they maybe didn't have as many healers to bring to the table. Rattapie kind of being locked into his main. So when we get here now and we start to see how good he does look on the Shaman, Joe, this makes them a force to be reckoned with.
It does indeed, and I think the main thing though with Rattapie is that he knows he's against the Rogue Mage Paladin. So knowing that opposition's comms so well inside and out, he knows exactly how to play against it and knows what to do on his Shaman. Like we saw, he was able to just hold on to defensive cooldowns many times, but now they're not going to be against the Rogue Mage Pally, Adrian.
I am excited for this. We've seen a few Warlocks come out, but not a single Destruction Warlock in battle for Azeroth. And the reason we don't see Destruction Warlocks very often in tournaments is because people will use the pillar to the maximum effect of line of sighting the big Chaos Bolts, but Vilai could be an exposed target. If they get him in a Hammer of Justice, I can see Rich is very excited. Demon Hunter and a Destro Warlock, Rich.
Okay, so this was also a comp too. I was trying to figure out if anyone was going to play it. Like when we were talking to every single team, this was like a composition where I was like, is anybody going to... It has a lot of upside. It has a lot of potential. It's going to be a pretty all-in composition.
Well, you know what's really interesting about this? Making a movie is trying to play the long game. They're trying to land the mana burns. They are playing very tanky. And then Cohesion Dream has the possibility of, you see that Infernal come down, they're running Grimoire of Supremacy, I do believe, and then that means that every shard you spend increases Chaos Bolt's damage. By the end of that, it's doubling the damage. So I am really excited for this matchup. I want to see what Alistar can do.
We are going to see some big bolts potentially here, folks. Will it be enough to get Cohesion Dream on the path to getting a reverse sweep? Or are we going to see Making a Movie run away with the show?
We've already seen a lot this tournament, but a Warlock getting the reverse sweep would be quite something for the books. Cohesion Dream with Alistar Law. We talked about him on the Shadow Priest, the Rogue. Plays so much, this guy. On the Destruction Warlock, we'll be watching out for those big Chaos Bolts, Joe.
Cohesion Dream trying to live the dream right now of the Destro Fire Mage. And they're going to be having those Greater Pyros as well as those Chaos Bolts to just try and just one-shot someone completely married. They're using that Incarnation right now to get a lot of pressure on Alistar. He gets incredibly low. The Blessing of Sacrifice comes out as well as that Healthstone right now to keep him alive. Already they force major defensive cooldowns.
It's not the opener you want, and he's using his Infernal right now. That's the huge offensive cooldown for this Destruction Warlock. Cataclysm comes in, but it's a few expansions too late. It doesn't do any damage. They just kite away from it, Making a Movie, playing fantastically. This surprise pick is not catching them off guard.
Rattapie just pre-Tremor to Fear as well, just completely negating that go from Alistar. But the one advantage they have is that Stray Bloopers, he can pay max range. If Belay tries to push into Mana Burn, then Alistar and Yiyang would just free cast those Greater Pyros, those Chaos Bolts, so it's making it very difficult for Belay to push in, and maybe the inexperience on a melee could come down to bite him.
Yeah, and that's what we said, right? In game 1 and 2, we had huge kind of credit that we passed over to Rattapie and Maro with their defensive play. The question marks we had were on Vilai, playing some mistakes with the defense. They've drafted a composition here to try and counter that Demon Hunter, go for those Hammer of Justices, go for those big burst plays with the Fire Mage and the Destruction Warlock. And I mean, so far they have struggled, yes, but they're also doing a good job of staying alive. Stray Bloopers is doing pretty okay in his mana pool, and I mean, they have a lot of kiting in this composition. They've chosen a big map. It's going to be hard to stick onto Alistar Law.
Yeah, it's going to be very hard, and as well, those Greater Pyros kind of, at the same time, Alistar Law is getting increasingly low on HP. He's just so squishy on that Destruction Warlock, and I still think Making a Movie are more favored in this matchup, but they need to be a bit more careful. They need to make sure that Cohesion Dream don't get too much momentum. As soon as they get too many Greater Pyros or too many Chaos Bolts, then that's it for Making a Movie.
Yeah, Greater Pyroblast is about, I think, 35% of your health immediately in one spell, plus all the instants that you can apply on the Fire Mage. It can really hit you for, you know, 60-70% of your health if you combine it with the Combustion, line up all those crits, and then you also have the Destruction Warlock. So it's incredible damage, and every single time Making a Movie leave the pillar, they expose themselves. You can see Greater Pyro after Greater Pyro. Vilai needs to be careful, but he will go back behind the pillar if he finds himself in trouble, and that's what he's doing right here. And they're just kind of trying to peek out, get damage over onto Alistar Law, force those cooldowns, they force the Unending Resolve here. How do Cohesion Dream actually win this one like this play, Joe?
Like I said, I think it comes to the end of Making a Movie having to make the mistakes, be out too much in the open, and then Cohesion Dream could do that by trying to just force them out by kiting them constantly. getting Vele into a bad spot, get Rapai into a bad spot to get the crowd control onto him, and then get those big caster damage out. When combustion comes out from Yang right now, it's not getting too much pressure. The Rapai did do a pre-tremor once again, but the Ring of Frost comes out right now. Vele not even choose. He does end up reversing it just as I was about to say he didn't, so that's just going to mitigate that CC, and Cohesion Dream once again going to need to play defensive.
Yeah, Rapai is just looking so confident on this Shaman, not making any mistakes, not allowing Yi Yang to land polymorphs in this situation. Alistar Lol dropping low, Divine Shield, Hand of Sacrifice, major defensive cooldowns forced for Cohesion Dream, and every single time Veli peeks out, he wreaks havoc on the side of the Chinese team, and they're really not finding any counter pressure.
Yeah, Alistar had to use his wall there, and they nearly crushed him through, forcing the Divine Shield from Stray Bloopers, so this is once again looking dire for them. Stun onto Stray Bloopers as well. The Darkness, though, has to come out because they're just free casting these greater Pyros. Mara using his Incarnation as well. They're taking quite a bit of pressure. Rapai using a lot of defensive cooldowns as well. There could be an opening for Cohesion Dream, but like I said, they need to try and get Vele or Rapai out there if they want to get a win condition.
That was a scary moment for making a movie. They trade out a lot of defensives, a little overlap there, but it was in exchange for the Infernal, of course. Infernal is a 3-minute offensive cooldown for the Destruction Warlock, and if you run the trades, you can do even more damage with your Chaos Bolts, which are already hitting incredibly hard without that modifier. So definitely respecting that offense there from Cohesion Dream. Once again, okay, and they're doing a great job appealing here so the Stray Bloopers can get a drink. He gets back up to about 80% mana, once again able to elongate this game.
Yeah, they are, and this game will most likely go into dampening, but at the same time, Alistar Lol doesn't have his major defensive cooldown, and it's looking like he's going to be in a lot of trouble if Vele gets to connect, and if they get any crowd control on the Stray Bloopers. But at the same time, Rapai and Maro overlap defensive trinkets, so there could be an opening for that as well. The combustion is going to come up in around 9 seconds, so there could be potential there, Adrian.
Yeah, I mean, when you're losing a series, you go for the high percentage play. Bringing out this Destruction Fire is scary, and it's forcing mistakes on the side of making a movie. Another defensive overlap here could potentially be the opening they were looking for. If they can get a Hammer of Justice on the Rapai, they could easily take the game, but it is challenging. You see Maro constantly guarding his healer, standing on top of him, ready with those Cyclones to peel any offense. Alistar Lol dropping low. Mortal Coil, though, trying to keep himself alive, keep himself in the fight. Greater Pyro is coming out of the back line from Yi Yang. He's looking to get aggressive onto Villa. He's caught up in the Shadow Fury. Full counter spell over onto Rapai. Could be dangerous. Getting behind the pillar, though, should be able to survive. You see the impact of that burst, Joe.
Yeah, you do, and that's just Vele overstaying his welcome. He gets caught in a Shadow Fury, and a Chaos Ball and 2 Greater Pyros nearly take him down. He needs to be extremely careful. This is a volatile game, as we can see. Every time a Greater Pyro comes out, it just bursts him down completely. They need to treat this with the utmost respect, otherwise they could go down.
Yeah, Greater Pyros, bolts, utter chaos from Cohesion Dream, and that's what you need when you're 2-0 down in a series. They need to find a way of winning games, and they might have found it here. Maro now caught up in the counter spell. Rapai in the back line, though, should be able to stabilize his Druid. Now polymorphs over onto Vile. They're playing so defensive. They are terrified.
I love this play from Cohesion Dream because they're forcing all 3 of them behind the pillar, and that allows Stray Bloopers to get some drinks. And without Vile pushing in, stopping him, they could either get a kill on him or potentially win the long game. But it's going to be a very hard ask for them. And like we said, it is a very good map choice. But Chaos Bolts come flying in on the Maro. Alistar dropping low now as well. They've caught Maro whilst he was trying to change pillar, and they get a lot of pressure, forcing his bark skin.
Yeah, but Alistar also dropping a little bit low here. Hand of Sacrifice comes out from Stray Bloopers, trying to stabilize his Warlock here. Dampening works both ways. Both those healers doing less healing now that we're at 10%. Vili pushing in, of course. Overall, the Moonkin and the Demon Hunter will do way more damage, especially with that Incarnation active right now on Maro. But as soon as that runs out, which is now, we'll see Yi Yang pushing in for the polymorphs, trying to get something going for his team.
Yeah, he is, and he's good. He already used that combustion though, so he won't have that for a while. But with the Greater Pyroblast, he doesn't really need it, and he's caught a double Ring of Frost. He's going to get the Greater Pyros, but Vile did preemptively use a Darkness. Rapai wasn't in it, but he's going to be in it now. Actually, he used his Astral Shift. I think that was a bit of a waste coming out from Rapai just there, but nevertheless, he's going to make sure that he doesn't die to those Greater Pyros.
You know, I'm thinking about this composition. Restoration Shamans, they're kind of good in dampening. Like, that's why everyone plays them, right? Like, they have a great mana pool. The Rip Riptides, the Mastery does more healing the lower people go. But when you're playing as a composition like this, that Mastery is not going to help because you go from 100 to 0. Cohesion Dream might have drafted the Dream composition here, but they have to find openings. Villi now doing such a great job getting the stuns, denying the damage. Alistar dropping low, trades out his shield wall. Will it be enough though? Stray Bloopers caught up in that full rote solar beam. Fears coming out, trying to peel for himself. Mara in the meantime getting soloed by Yi Yang, but it doesn't look like they're going to get the kill here. Another CS over on the Rattlepie. They're trying to make something happen here. Full Fear could be enough to take Mara down, but he's just playing by the pillar.
It could be, although he has his trinket right now, so he's going to be able to survive, but he's going to have Tremor soon as well, and it looks like these drinks might actually just pay off as well. Stray Bloopers just finding that time to drink and drink over and over again and deep dampening. This could go either way.
It really could, and I mean, this dampening is actually not helping Making a Movie in any way, shape or form. Trinkets and a huge heal coming in from Rattlepie there. Not entirely sure, maybe he traded out his Hellstone, still has that Spirit Link of course available. Maro now caught up in the counter spell, just taking damage. Alistar and Yi Yang pummeling him. Mortal Coil into the open, good path. So we see a kick coming in from Villi, good polymorphs though. And now they can just swap over the damage to Villi. They've got to be careful not to stack too much though, because the Demon Hunter does so much cleave damage.
It does so much cleave damage, and Alistar doesn't have his wall for another 2 minutes and just uses Trinket there as well, so he's going to be a very volatile position. And Stray Bloopers doesn't have his Trinket, he gets put into the root beam. So much pressure coming to the Alistar, they need to use something. There's the Divine Shield from Stray Bloopers and the Wings to keep him alive. At the same time, in the split of an eye, Villi just gets super low, having to Trinket. He has the Netherwalker beat it, but it looks like they're going to opt for the Spirit Link instead. Ascendance gets used, defensive cooldowns after defensive cooldowns, the dampening is kicking in, and both teams are struggling.
This is madness. Cohesion Dream are walking all over Making a Movie at this point. Yi Yang is exploiting the fact that Maro and Rattlepie are stacking. He's going for those double Dragon's Breaths and landing the polymorphs, and Villi is just caught out in the open. He can't get the reversals, though we see Alistar dropping low. This is huge damage from Maro. That Incarnation once again active. Huge damage modifier for the Moonkin Druid. As soon as that expires, though, we can expect Cohesion Dream to push out once again with those big bolts on Alistar. He's looking promiscuous at this point in time. He's looking for something. A huge reversal, though, coming out. Both of these teams just kind of respecting each other with 30% dampening. Neither of these healers are having a good time.
Yeah, and Villi's not either. He really wants to get in and crush Alistar, but at the same time, he needs to avoid those big caster damage. Otherwise, he could easily go down in a blink of an eye, but it looks like they're getting the better deal at the end here. They're getting a lot of pressure. Stray Bloopers has nothing to save him. Alistar is so low on HP. The full root beam comes down as well. Surely he goes down here. He has absolutely nothing. A nice Shadow Fury, though. That's going to be the only thing that saves him right now. He gates away, but he might just go down anyway. Nice kick on Villi from that Chaos Bolt, but he can spam out the Fears to survive. I have no idea how they lived there.
I thought he was dead for sure, but he couldn't quite get the kill. Now they have another lease on life. Alistar looking for the plays. Goes for the Chaos Bolt over onto Maro, dropping low, 20% health. Needs to be careful. Does have that renewal available, though, to stabilize if needed. Stray Bloopers is kind of sitting behind a pillar, but he's really struggling. You can see Villi starting to make things happen with dampening stacking so high.
He is struggling, and he's nearly going to go down. Villi going and crushing him, using that Imprison as well now to deny any healing, but he is going to have that wing very soon, but a full stun. Surely he was down. A beautiful Dragon's Breath from Yi Yang. That is completely saved him, and a sheep behind the pillar as well. Great defense play, and now Rattlepie, he gets coiled out of the darkness. He gets super low as well, popping every defensive cooldown in his arsenal, the Astral Shift as well as that Earthen Wall totem, but surely Alistar Lord goes down here.
Yeah, he's in so much trouble. The rings come out, but the beam will secure it. Making a Movie, I love the play from Cohesion Dream, but Making a Movie too good on the day, 3-0.
Making a Movie, it's going to take them 40% dampening, but they are able to squash that Dream. Ultimately, though, it's such a tough road, even if that does work there for Cohesion Dream, but this is such a nice thing to have in their back pocket with the Warlock. Rogue Mage probably would have been able to take it, but let's say that they actually won in the blind pick and they were able to navigate throughout the series, go game for game with this, and actually when we see Making a Movie lock in this composition, it looks like it was potentially favored here.
Yeah, and one of the interesting gearing choices, you know, we talked a lot about how players have access to just about every Azerite piece of gear in the game on this server right now. Is Maro went to the lively spirit rather, which is why we saw so many those incarnations seemed way more punchy against it. Yes, Destro Warlocks struggle defensively right now, and there were times when he was caught out in the middle and you saw his life bar just chunk down over and over. But it was interesting because you saw how not tanky they were compared to before. Maro's health was definitely taking, was chunking down every time that they connected to him. Obviously, Chaos Bolt's hurt, but in general, like you didn't see the slow health creeping back up. That his team didn't. His Azerite traits weren't able to heal him just off of the damage he's doing.
Yeah, I think the big thing too with those Azerite traits and why that build makes so much sense here, it goes, okay, yeah, if you want to stand out and cast a giant Chaos Bolt on me, you're going to be standing out. I'm going to be able to actually put big damage into you as well. Let's fight fire with fire to a certain degree, not to make a pun there, but ultimately that's what they do, and it is going to work here. I got to give it up though to Cohesion Dream. They look fantastic. Both of the teams in China look fantastic, and Cohesion Dream's not out of it yet. They're just going to be dropping down to the lower portion of the bracket. We'll see more for them when we get to the main stage at BlizzCon. Making a movie, we're going to see more from today, Joe. They're going to be playing against Method.
Yeah, they'll be against Method, and playing this composition most likely the Demon Hunter, Moonkin, Shaman. But they're going to be a very scary opponent. They knew what they were expecting against Cohesion Dream, and I like the Destruction pick as well. And the Fire Mage, you had the Greater Pyros coming in when they were just stopping the Chaos Bolts, but like you said, even if they won this game, it would have been the map pick from making a movie, and I feel like that composition is a very map-dependent comp.
Yeah, map-dependent, and also there are going to be quite a few comps that are going to be able to maybe put a little bit more efficient damage onto the Warlock, kind of try to punish him more for the damage he's trying to get out. But all in all, the comp looked really good. Excited to see it, and not something that we expected to see in VL. I think that that's one of the things that is so exciting about this tournament in particular. Just about anything really can happen.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, we know how the Destruction Warlock plays out. It's the constant, find that one opportune moment to constantly pump out those long cast Chaos Bolts. But he was playing a lot of the talents that provided him the shorter cast on the Chaos Bolts, extra charges of Backdraft, and he has the proccing 15% haste with the level 30 talent. I can't remember off the top of my head. But so you saw a lot of the times when he was casting Chaos Bolts, they were extremely fast, really haste heavy build. He was able to capitalize on Valet pushing up to try to get the mana burns off. We didn't see very many of them happen because if the Demon Hunter, we saw how many defensives he had to trade out every time he pushed forward because, yeah, you might be able to stop that Chaos Bolt, but you have a greater Pyro coming at you at the same time.
Yeah, we can kind of use the Warlock here almost like a microcosm for the tournament, right? Yeah, we have to see everything go into this build, right? You have to make sure that your stats are lining up the correct way. You need to make sure that your Azerite traits are building up the right way. But when we see the potential that's there for Destruction Warlock, that's there for every class right now. You have so many options to customize how you play that I don't think we know every composition in the tournament that we're going to see yet.
I mean, we definitely don't. That's something that we saw there. But I think in this specific scenario, the reason the Destruction Warlock comes out is because it's the high percentage play, but that percentage is 20-30% win rate. I don't think you win that game unless there's a mistake on making a movie. And in a tournament of this caliber, you expect those teams, even on their ults, they're so well prepared. Making a movie is a top quality European roster. They came in as the #3 seed. That's higher than Tempo Storm. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what they can do in this tournament. Method Orange, I don't think have an easy matchup here.
It's important that you do bring up Tempo Storm because that's going to be the team that we're taking a look at next. They're going to be playing against Order. And then after that, we are done with the first round. We're going to have a few more matches here today in that second round, but we are about to see every single team from the first round play. Then in the second round, we get to see the winners play against those teams that got by. So kind of the top dogs in the tournament. Tempo Storm versus Order. Joe, what is it about this Order squad that people need to be thinking about?
I mean, they're definitely going to be thinking about the Ret Paladin Fresh on there. He's just been such a dominant force in the APAC region. They got knocked to the lower bracket initially during that time, and then they just crushed everyone with that Ret Paladin. So, Tempo Storm will need to be careful with that, but I mean, if one team has an answer, it's going to be Tempo Storm.
That is just the name of the game for Tempo Storm. We're talking about all the potential, all the crazy things that can happen. Tempo Storm is probably going to be one of the squads to figure it out. They are so good at figuring out all the weird things that do exist in the game, and they've been getting better and better at doing just that. So the question we have for you, who do you think's going to be able to take this next one? Tempo Storm definitely coming in quite favored. If you want to vote for them, #TS. If you think that Order is going to be able to do it, create another upset. I mean, we have seen more upsets than not today. You can vote for Order with W-O-R-D. It's been just a crazy day to start things off. Not only are we starting to see compositions that we maybe didn't expect, but we've seen upsets. We've already seen results. We've seen curses broken. China able to grab a victory. You do not want to miss any of the action. We're going to be jumping into the final matchup of the first round, and then we're going to have 4 more matchups that are going to take place in that second round, the winners quarterfinals. Folks, we started off the day with just that, though. 2 upsets. Making a movie, able to get the 3-0. We've seen just about everything, but we know with Tempo Storm, we are getting ready for some surprises here. They're going to be going up against Order. You don't want to miss it.